What's up, Sisu Circle, and welcome back to another episode of Who's the Baby, a podcast where me and my emotional support mug dive into everything inner child. On today's episode, I will be discussing the importance of emotional regulation in parenting. And not to say that this is limited to parents, because it certainly is not. I definitely feel like this is probably one of the most beginner-friendly tools that I can offer for anyone who is looking to better themselves. Without further ado, let's dive in. I want to start with my own story here. I always knew I wanted to be a mom. From a very young age, I used to say that I wanted a gaggle of children. For the reasons now that I look back and think were very immature. I wanted to be loved. I wanted to be chosen. I wanted to be needed. So it's no surprise that that's how I went about finding my romantic relationships as well. Looking back, I see now that those exact things were the source of my trauma. It was a great place for me to start in my healing process. Of course, life doesn't always unfold that way, and hindsight's always 20/20. As life unfolded, I did the things. I silenced my boundaries. I abandoned myself. Ignored all the red flags. I ended up married, with a house, completely blinded to my intuition and my inner knowing. I thought this was how life goes. The examples that I had all around me were all the same. Life is a struggle. Life is hard, disappointing, and lackluster. With all these things in mind, my husband and I decided to try for a baby. That'll make our lives feel more enriched. Definitely. I was not emotionally ready to become a parent. I forever wanted to be a mom, but had no idea the shadows that come along with motherhood. My daughter arrived 6 weeks early. I told myself I wasn't ready because of her being early. That definitely wasn't it. She could have arrived 3 months later, 3 years later, but I still wouldn't have been ready. The universe, source, whatever name you have for it, always knows exactly what you need. Becoming a mom placed a giant mirror in front of me and forced me to take a long, hard look. That day changed everything for me. Not all at once, but was the catalyst of not only my self-development journey, but the new trajectory of my life. You might say, whoa, that's kind of dark. Why are you sharing this? I'm sharing this because it's honest. It's my story, whether it's pretty or not. And by sharing what I've learned, maybe it might help someone else if they're feeling the pressure of having it all together. That's not reality. Life is messy, but it doesn't have to be unfulfilling. You just have to know how to listen. What I mean by my daughter being a mirror is in who she is, how she behaves, how she responds to circumstances or situations. In most cases, is the exact opposite to me. She's a lot of her father. How this shows up for me, she triggers me a lot, which forces me to confront those icky bits of myself in real time. The beautiful thing about being a parent is that you have new choices that perhaps you didn't have as a child living in your circumstances. You can essentially redo those certain icky experiences and re-show up for your inner child and your physical child with hindsight, with grace, and with your intention to right the wrong. What do I mean by this? As adults, one of the greatest gifts we can do for ourselves is learn the art of emotional regulation. According to Cornell University, emotional regulation is a term generally used to describe a person's ability to effectively manage and respond to an emotional experience. This is one of the best tools that I can offer that you learn. Emotional regulation allows us the time and space to pause, and instead of react out of old patterns or programming, we stay curious. We feel in our bodies where and what emotions are coming up, why we might be feeling those emotions in this moment. And only then can we make the decision on how we'd like to respond. In parenting, this is especially important in that we are constantly modeling our behavior for our littles, shaping how they will do it for them in their future. The more we practice this within ourselves, the better our little ones will nail it. As an elder millennial, this was not my model growing up. at all. Yes, I completely understand that this in and of itself may be triggering to you. This is what's known as a growth edge, and just because it feels icky doesn't mean you should avoid it. In fact, the discomfort that you feel is exactly where you should be diving in. That is where the change happens. If it's uncomfortable, you're doing it right. And it's okay for your kids to see you fumbling through change. The more they see us being brave through our fears and growth edges, the more comfortable they'll feel when it's their turn. In practicing emotional regulation, this impacts our children and influences every aspect of their functioning, including their mental and physical health, the relationships they form and maintain with others, improved executive functioning, as well as social cognitive functions like mentalization and mindfulness. According to the tripartite model of parental and familial influence on child emotional regulation, a study that was conducted in 2007, it offers three main areas of parental contribution to the development of emotional regulation skills in the child. Number one, learning through observation, especially in the early developmental years before language is developed. Yes, that early. Our children are constantly learning through observing us, even when it's an indirect interaction. Number two, parenting practices with the child. How we behave, react, and respond directly with our children. This will directly impact them, what they learn from these interactions, and shape how they emotionally regulate based on those interactions. And number three, emotional climate of the family. So this includes parent-child attachments as well as romantic attachments of the parents to each other. So this speaks directly to the dynamics that's created with interpersonal relationships. It's its own living ecosystem, and that has the ability to shape our children's well-being. For all my separate households or co-parents out there, take this under consideration. Even households where there are two parents in the home, you need to nurture this dynamic. This is especially important in that our children's way of learning is different from our way of learning as adults. They are learning from bottom up, learning through feeling, through intuition, through the energy, right, that is in with the dynamics, versus adults most of the time, right, are learning through reading or a lecture or a podcast. So it's logical information that's being processed through their executive functioning in the brain. Children don't have that yet. They haven't established that. It hasn't been developed, and usually doesn't develop, I've talked about this in a previous episode, until their late teens or early 20s. So their way of processing information is much different. It is in those nuances. It is in the things that you don't say. It is in the way your face looks, in the reaction of your body. For example, you kind of recoil, or if you kind of flinch, or any movement that your body makes, your child is receiving that as information, as their example on how to behave or how to act when this situation comes up. That's why this is hugely important for anyone who is thinking about becoming a parent, or anyone, like I said, who is just curious about their own inner workings and being a better human. If you are looking for systems or for structure on how to do this, that's exactly what my coaching model is designed to do. I help parents. This can be parents who live in separate households or who are in co-parenting relationships. I provide them a holistic model as to how you can nurture this dynamic so that your children will be able to pick up the good behaviors, pick up on those things that you want or choose to teach them, rather than having these reactive strategies that by default, right, these patterns that have been going on for generations that are just programmed into your familial lineage. What I really want people to understand is that there is choice. There is a different way to do it. You don't have to follow the model of, this is the way we've always done it. This is the way my parents taught me. This is culturally the way it is, or this is how it's always been done. I want you to recognize that you have choice. And by becoming a parent, that is your job, is to decide how and what I want to teach my child. And for me, that means I'm choosing to do it a different way. I'm choosing to go away from the cultural norm, away from the norm of my parents and how they were taught and their strategies that their parents passed down to them. And has it been difficult? Hell yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's been difficult because I feel like I'm starting from scratch. I'm trailblazing, I'm doing my own thing and stepping out. That it's the better way for me. Yes, this is the most authentic way that I am choosing to do it. Hopefully, it's for the betterment of my child and for her future and our lineage going forward, if that continues at all. It's extremely important that we understand how the way we react to situations affects others around us. I think the only way that we better ourselves collectively and culturally is by understanding these dynamics and to really take those as priority in our lives. For me, I would say this is the best things that I have learned for myself, and I am never going to say you are a master of emotional regulation. It is always a practice, and you must remain humble because you're never going to master it in every situation. I'm still learning with my child. The way I even speak, I will tell her, hey, this is how I'm feeling. I know that it might not be the right way to be feeling given the situation, but this is where I am and this is what I think I need to do in this situation to model the right behavior for you. And whether or not she loves that, right? If it's she wants a cuddle and my body is telling me no, I can't do that right now. There are struggles, but in us honoring that dynamic and respecting that dynamic, we are learning one another, we are growing, we are respecting each other through this journey. And in my opinion, I think creating a stronger attachment, creating a well-nourished bond that hopefully that will help her in how to navigate relationships in her future and gain her the skills to be better and not make the same mistakes I did in her lifetime. If you are looking on tips on how to practice emotional regulation, the biggest tip that I can leave you with is the pause. Pause. That slowing down, that space, coming back to basics, honestly, has been one of the most crucial bits of personal development that I've ever received. Implementing it has been incredible for me. Just having the awareness and understanding that I don't have to just react. I can pause. It's a choice to slow down, take a breath, keep my tone just as it is, has been in any situation, not even necessarily with my daughter, with any relationship. Taking that space for myself to even check in and say, okay, I'm feeling a certain kind of way. What is that feeling? Do I know what that feeling is? Do I know where I'm feeling it in my body? Okay. What might that feeling or emotion be trying to tell me? Because emotions are just information, right? It's just signaling information to you. So that's what I mean when I say if you just listen. Listening to, what is that trying to tell me? Where is this growth edge coming from? Why am I feeling whatever I'm feeling? The more that we can lean into curiosity and lean into grace of understanding versus being right or discipline or of those reactive strategies, the better everyone will be. Number one is just pause, recognizing the emotions if you can, determining where it's coming from and what it's trying to tell you, then processing through, okay, I understand what the emotion is, I understand what it's trying to tell me. Now, how do I want to go about responding? Okay. Then once you've responded and gotten through whatever scenario it is, you can then release those emotions. And there are steps on how to do that as well. If you are interested in going more in depth on any of those steps, I can do more of a deep dive on that. I hope this helps at least the ball of curiosity get rolling. And I hope this helps as a place to start. Right. So from me and my emotional support mug, thank you so much for listening. We hope to see you on the other side. Cheers.